GPUS is genuinely a hidden gem. What's going on, everyone? Mannnnn here. I hope you guys have been blessed, man. You already know how I'm doing. So what I got for you guys today is an update on GPUS, because I know right now there's probably a lot of questions on what they're doing, where they at, and where could they be going in the future. There's also been a lot of news on them recently too. And this news, when you really start to understand what it means for the company, it's just GPUS to the damn moon, baby. So let me tell you this. This is one of those companies I'd really start paying attention to, at least if you aren't already. And everyone talks about AI like it's just softwares and models, but very seldom does anybody really talk about what actually holds up the system. And AI runs on power, data, as well as infrastructure. And that's where Hyperscale Data Inc. fits into the picture perfectly. They are literally like they can be seen as the backbone behind AI in modern tech, as well as high performance computing infrastructure. And then the digital asset treasury that they're currently building, oh man, it's really like they are one of those companies that are like one of those hidden gems.
The future of enterprise computing depends on intelligence, resilience, and disciplined infrastructure. We are Hyperscale Data, an AI data center company anchored by Bitcoin. We deploy high-performance GPU compute to support advanced AI, machine learning, and enterprise workloads, delivering efficiency, reliability, and flexibility across our platform. By modernizing a legacy industrial site, we have transformed existing infrastructure into an efficient, next-generation compute environment. Our parallel compute model allows AI systems and digital asset infrastructure to operate side by side, maximizing utilization while maintaining operational control. Bitcoin strengthens our balance sheet by design. Through disciplined execution, our digital asset treasury provides liquidity, resilience, and long-term strategic flexibility. Responsible operations matter. Hyperscale Data is publicly traded on the NYSE American under the ticker symbol GPUS, providing transparency, accountability, and access to public capital markets. With secure infrastructure, strong liquidity, and plans to expand compute capacity, we enter 2026 positioned for responsible growth. Hyperscale Data, AI-powered, Bitcoin-backed, enterprise-ready.
It's not trying to be the face of AI. They're quite literally building the foundation underneath it. And the kind of foundation that doesn't go viral, but becomes more valuable as the demand continues to expand. So as AI adoption grows and the pressure starts to shift from software to who can really support it at scale, it becomes a completely different game. And this is where GPUS aligns with the game perfectly. Now, if you guys have been in GPUS, you guys would have seen that pullback recently. Man, all that means is it means it's time to load up even more. So without further ado, you already know how we do. Let's get into it. So if you guys were in the market, you guys would have caught this nice little pump that we seen recently. And the asset went from about 17 cents to 40 cents. That's a real solid pump right there. Now, with this pullback that's happening, what does that mean?
We're almost always a buyer of stocks, and we're a more aggressive buyer when they're going down. I mean, I feel much better when they're going down.
Okay, now let's say you load up on this asset and you get into a position where you're like, well, what if I want to take bits and pieces off?
I'm a big believer in scaling out, so I go all in and I scale out half, quarter. And what I do is within 3/4 of the trade position, I always do it mechanically. The last quarter, I'm always swinging for the fences and trying to hold on to it as long as I possibly can. And I leave an open target on it, and then I leave the computer screen. That's the only way I've figured out without messing with it in order to take myself out of a profitable trade. Because I don't know about you, but I never get smarter once I'm in a trade. I almost always make the worst possible decision I can once I'm in a trade. So best thing for me to do is just leave it alone. to take advantage of some of the market gyrations and give it a chance to actually grow.
You don't have to hold this company forever, but taking off all of your position at once, I think isn't necessarily the best idea, but it really all just depends on who you are and how you want to approach this market. What I would do is, let's say I bought up 1,000 shares, okay? That's about $188. All I would do is, when we do see a move in this market that you think is good for you, so like let's say you caught this move recently, right? It's very likely that they will see another pump in the market. So when they do see another pump in the market, take off maybe half of your position. And I would say do it at this above this 40 cents point. So if you buy in now and you're looking to take profits, you know, secure some real solid profits as they move up, you could even do it sooner than that, right? You could do it here too. Take off half of your position and then let the rest of it ride. And as it continues to ride up, then you take off another portion of your position. And then as it continues to ride up even more, take off another portion of your position, right? So you're slowly taking off pieces as the market continues to go up. And if you are a long-term holder, man, it's GPUS to the moon. Like I really don't know how high this asset could go, but with how they're looking right now, they very well could move past this $10 point. Now, I don't think that they would move past there anytime soon, but over the course of the next couple of months to potentially over the next couple of years, they very well could be sitting up here at some point in time. And the fact that we are now sitting this low in the company it just means that this is the time when you should be looking to load up. You can't go up higher if you don't move down first. And this isn't about chasing headlines or quick moves. It's about understanding how the tech stack is evolving and recognizing that companies or the companies enabling AI behind the scenes may matter just as much as the ones that everyone's talking about. So you guys see everybody talking about NVIDIA. You guys see everybody talking about Google. You guys see everybody talking about Amazon. But what about the infrastructure behind it all? And this is where GPUS aligns perfectly. If you guys see my last video, you guys would have remembered I was talking about how we are currently in a changing world order.
I'm desperately trying to pass along my thoughts to help you to understand how the world order is changing. And it's changing in three very important ways. It's changing financially and economically in important ways that you can see. It's changing because of the great internal conflict that's happening, and it's also changing because of the external conflict. These three things are coming together to create a perfect storm of sorts.
The system no longer is relying on expansion. What they're doing is they're building the infrastructure that can withhold the system that we're now moving into. And as we've seen this pullback in GPUS, all this means is that they're just preparing for an even bigger move. I genuinely think that this asset is going to be a real solid asset in the short term and in the long term too. So just because the market pulled back recently doesn't mean that you should start becoming scared and everything. But at the same time, you guys gotta be patient with this.
Oftentimes I see traders getting into a trade, waiting for something to happen. It doesn't happen. Then they get out, and then for sure when they do that, it's going to happen. It's going to be in their favor.
Empires aren't built overnight. I do also have a take profit zone. I don't know why I don't have it lined off on my chart here, but I do have a take profit zone sitting above these relative equal highs here, and that's 996. Does this mean that this will happen overnight? No. It's like recently we seen a strong asset like, or we seen an asset like Rackspace, and I was just talking about them before they seen this massive move. Honestly, these guys already had a real solid foundation in their company. So the fact that they pumped this much doesn't surprise me because they already had everything in place. Now that's when the money started coming into the system. That's what caused this massive jump in price. But GPUS, they're currently in their transition phase. So this is why they haven't seen a very strong pump in their price. Now, they did see a solid move. They moved up about what? Over 60%. They went from 17 cents to about 40 cents. But that's not the expansion move. That was just a pump in the market to gather up some more cash so that they can refund what they're doing. Guys, got to remember, these assets move in cycles and they move in trends. GPUS is currently in a cycle. It is in a cycle of draining out the old system and aligning itself to now prosper in the new system.
Always 100% of the time go into every single position with the expectation that you have to position size or scale into it.
When you're getting into assets like this early, oh man, this is where millionaires are made. Now, you guys would see if you look into the market that they got heavily diluted within the past couple of years. But the reason why this happened is because of what they were preparing themselves to do. This wasn't random. This wasn't random at all. These guys have literally been around since like the 1960s and have been and will continue to be the backbone behind this evolving system. Now, this doesn't mean that they are the only hyperscale data center doing what they do, but in a sense, they kind of are the only hyperscale data center doing what they do. And it's like Warren Buffett said, man, I show this video all the time, but
you need a temperament that neither derives great pleasure from being with the crowd or against the crowd. Because this is not a business where you take polls, it's a business where you think. And Ben Graham would say that you're not right or wrong because 1,000 people agree with you. And you're not right or wrong because 1,000 people disagree with you. You're right because your facts and your reasoning are right.
So if we're looking at this company, right now they're currently sitting at 1902. I suspect that they won't really see a massive jump in their price anytime soon. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't take profits in the short term. You very well can. Like if you caught this pump right here, that was a real solid pump. And I very well think that they could be preparing themselves to see another solid pump. But when it happens I think it will be closer to March when we see a stronger pump in the market. And you got to remember, they built their strategy around Bitcoin originally. If you guys look into the Bitcoin chart, where's Bitcoin sitting at currently? It's been on the pullback. This doesn't mean that Bitcoin's dead. It's literally just waiting until the system's ready.
We believe in accumulation strategies, and the large players are accumulating. Look, guys, I watch whale wallets, and that to me is the biggest indicator of the supply and demand curve of this asset class. They haven't changed, they've only gone up. Binance, Coinbase, BlackRock, Sailor, their Bitcoin balances have only gone up. Coinbase is nearly at 1 million right now. So they've been accumulating. So how do you accumulate? You shake people out. How do you know when people are getting shaken out adequately? Supply and loss. That's the main correlation. So they want to get supply and loss. If they can get people deeply in loss, is how they shake people out. People sell. Typically, they're trying to clean this asset class up. They're trying to clean the supply up. Before they're going to commit large amounts of value, they're going to make sure that they're, like Michael Saylor said on his earnings call, we need to get rid of the unknowns, right? The unknowns are the people that we're going to sell. We got to get them out before significant value comes into the asset class. So supply and loss is a great indicator of this.
There's a lot of liquidity in the market right now. And Bitcoin doesn't move when liquidity is in the market. It moves when everything's aligned. So if we're looking at Bitcoin right now, I suspect that because the month of February is really a hot month for healthcare and tech, they're going to pump the markets in March when everybody's kind of sleeping. And remember, there's been a lot of events happening in the month of February. So all this tells me is that this is almost like an advertising campaign for all these institutions and companies to get in on Bitcoin. And they're also trying to get rid of everybody that's basically holding on to Bitcoin right now so that they can buy it up. Majority of Bitcoin's already been mined. And the last last Bitcoin that's supposed to be put into the system, I think is supposed to be like 2140. So if that's the case, what we're seeing right now is really just them shaking on everybody out so that the big players in this market can get in.
That's a big claim.
Yeah, well, it is rigged. So it's not that big. You read the book, I don't think you can put it down and say the market's not rigged.
Now, if you guys seen the video when I was talking about them recently, when they were coming back down, actually, I was talking about buy zones sitting at 20 cents and at 18 cents. I very well think that they still could even see a little hedge down below that 18-cent range, right? Now, this does not mean that they will, but as Peter Lynch said,
10 most dangerous things people say about stocks. Here's a good one. If it's gone down this much already, it can't go any lower.
So as we're looking at this asset, it's very likely that they aren't going to pump until Bitcoin pumps. If Bitcoin's sitting in consolidation, it's very likely that this asset will kind of consolidate for the next little while. Now, they do have earnings in a couple days, which I think will be interesting, but you have to understand the bigger story behind these companies. And that's where you find these hidden gems. Like GPUS is genuinely a hidden gem. You can't expect the market to move if it's not ready to see its move yet.
We don't want to ask something from the market that the market can't give us. So that we don't want to say, get going when it's a time period where we have very low volatility in this market.
It's the impatient traders or the impatient investors that are the ones that really miss out on opportunities like this.
So we want to understand how patient we should be with the trades.
The point is, would you say to yourself, do I need this money in a year? Do I need this money in 2 years? Do I need this money in 3 years? So my longer term stock market's been the best place to be last 10 years, last 30 years, last 130 years. But if you need the money in 1 or 2 years, you shouldn't be buying stocks.
Now, I'm not trying to get at anybody because, quite frankly, I've been there before too. Man, at the start of the year, I lost like, I think over, now it's not a shit ton of money, but I lost over like $1,100 because of impatient trading, right? I wasn't waiting for a proper setup in a chart. I wasn't really consistent with how I was approaching these markets. And then it was really just a game of being impatient. So you guys got to remember, right? This, when you see things like this, when you see companies gearing up, their markets can't pump before they're not ready. When the market's ready is when they really pump. And with the cycle of money that we're seeing right now, what I suspect is there's going to be a rate cut in June, very likely. Right now, there's a 61% chance that there's going to be a rate cut in June. So my idea behind how the market could move could very well be something like this. We go from this month being focused on the small caps as well as potentially meme coins. And remember, they're building out the infrastructures right now. And then the month of March could very well be a very strong month for crypto. And then after that pump in crypto happens, then the market starts kind of going into the large cap altcoins, and then it starts going into the small cap altcoins. And then this would put us around April, okay? And then come June, you guys got to remember, June is literally like it's like the month when everything kind of resets. It's literally the month when the system resets. Not to mention, there's a 61% chance that there's going to be a rate cut in June. So what does that tell you? The rate cuts are literally just a way for liquidity to come into the system. So what this means is that they're opening the doors for an even stronger pump to happen later in the year. And if we're following the Benner cycle, I've talked about it before, but when we're looking into the Benner cycle, what it shows is that 2026 is a time of good times and a time to sell stocks of all kinds.
So what does all this say about our future? Well, in our paradigm, America has entered the fourth turning. This is an era in which America's institutional life is torn down and rebuilt from the ground up, always in response to a perceived threat to the nation's very survival. Civic authority revives, cultural expression finds a community purpose, and people begin to locate themselves as members of a larger group. In every instance, fourth turnings have eventually become new founding moments in America's history, refreshing and redefining the national identity. Currently, this period began in 2008 with the global financial crisis and the deepening of the war on terror, and will extend to around 2030. What precipitates each turning is the aging of social generations into their next phase of life. Each new generation carries with it a generational archetype, a set of common attitudes and behaviors that are shaped by their location in history and distinguish them from their parents. These archetypes show up throughout history in a recurring order as children seek to obey or rebel against their parents.
But the important part is you got to understand what you're getting into, right? And that's why I do the research for you, so you don't have to. But with the recent news that they've seen, the fact that they're acquiring and they announced that they have a strategic silver reserve program is crazy, because this is really where their strategy is coming into play. But if you guys seen recently, they were talking about a massive sell of preferred shares. Think of preferred shares as these shares like a high interest hybrid between a loan and a stock. So the company is promising to pay these specific investors a 13% annual return. And this is considered a very high and expensive rate. But all this does is shows that the company is aggressive about getting cash right now, because they know what's coming. They know that this is the time to start loading up into Bitcoin, because there's a pump in March that's very likely coming. But instead of asking for 35 million all at once, they have created a money tap, so they can sell small batches of these shares whenever the market price is good, giving them massive flexibility in how they raise their money. Okay, now look at this right here, right? Hyperscale Data announces strategic silver reserve program to acquire up to 100,000 ounces of silver. I was just talking about the rotation of money happening from March to the end of the year. So not only are they going to benefit from the price jump in Bitcoin, they will also benefit from the price jump in the commodities sector as well. So this is really where the strategic plan that they have at play is really coming to is really coming out, right? Their plan is to use the money raised from their preferred stock offering to build a diversified reserve of both digital and hard assets. And while Bitcoin is their primary focus, the company intends to purchase gold, silver, and copper as a way to protect the company's value. So when the crypto sector is down, they'll still be benefiting, because when the crypto sector is down, the commodities are typically going up. It's like a teeter-totter, literally. So the precious metals like gold, silver are the traditional safe havens, and holding them helps the company hedge against these macroeconomic risks, such as like inflation or a downturn in the traditional stock market. And then also, by holding these physical assets, they are now strengthening their equity base. And this makes the company's underlying value way more solid in the eyes of lenders and investors. And one of the most strategic reasons for this program is leverage. So the company can use these reserves, both Bitcoin and the metals, as collateral. And instead of selling more stock, which now lowers the value for current shareholders, they can borrow against their gold, silver, copper, or Bitcoin to fund the expansion of their data centers. So guys, this is not just a random ass company you're getting into. These guys are literally creating this strategic shift within their system. So if you guys want my honest opinion, all I'm gonna say is it really is GPUS to the moon, man. Like, they are literally building a war chest. The Bitcoin provides high growth potential. So this is almost like, if you put it in basketball terms, this is like the offensive play, okay? And the silver, gold, and copper provide the stability and borrowing power. And this is like the defensive side of things. And this combination right here is intended to support their goal of becoming the physical backbone for AI companies while maintaining a rock solid financial foundation. So guys, all I'm gonna say is it really is GPUS to the moon, baby. You guys are really getting in on a good asset. And that's not to say that there isn't risk. There's risk in everything you do. But if all you guys are gonna look at is the risk, then maybe you really shouldn't be within this game, right? But it's opportunities like this that people miss simply because they aren't looking at the bigger picture. And I understand it. You know, we live in a negative world, so it's very easy to get lost within the pessimistic views. But that's why we have to look at the bigger picture at play. So all I'm gonna say is if you can get in, this really is one of those plays, man. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you guys got any questions or anything, really, just hit me up, man. So stay blessed from the best. Peace and love.